Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our panel this morning on Powering Progress, Innovation and Energy Solutions in Connecticut Manufacturing. I am Paul Lavoie, Connecticut's Chief Manufacturing Officer, and I will be moderating the panel today. I am joined by these esteemed panelists, so let me introduce them to you. Immediately to your right, my left, is Liang Zhang from UConn, who is now going to be the incoming professor of, what's your
Department head of Electrical and Computer Engineering.
Electrical and Computer Engineering. So congratulations on your new role as well. Right next to him is Tom McGuire, the CEO of Industrial Heating, and a new company, Tom, which is
U.S. Fabricating Custom Sheet Metal Fabric.
excellent. So a new company that Tom acquired and now is integrating the two companies together. So that's a great move. We're excited about that. Nancy Tange from the Office of Clean Economy, part of DECD, who runs our Smart E Energy Grant. I know everything about you, Nancy. So. And then JJ Kim from Hyaxion. So welcome, JJ, as well. So, you know, there's an interesting thing happening right now in Connecticut's manufacturing sector. It's growing. It's growing at a steady pace at about 9% a year. And that growth is not coming from job growth. Job growth in the manufacturing sector is relatively flat, and that growth is really coming from innovation. It's coming from the adoption of technologies that are driving innovation. And driving that innovation, as we drive that innovation and adopt new technologies, what we're seeing is rising consumption in energy. And so the energy continues to rise, energy consumption continues to rise, and Connecticut is taking a leading role in deploying clean energy technologies and energy efficiency to really maintain competitiveness, sustainability, and to be resilient. As we look at energy in the state, it really is three issues. It's price, it's supply, and it's consumption. And we really need to take a look at how we drive down the consumption of energy so that we're not buying more expensive energy, and it takes a little bit of pressure off of the supply issue that we have. And while we're working on the supply issue, which by the way drives the pricing issue as well, there really is a very, very strong lane for us to really drive energy efficiency and reduce consumption. So this panel has leaders from industry, academia, and state-supported programs to explore how energy innovation is transforming our manufacturing sector. From low-carbon fuel cells to targeted energy assessments, from energy upgrades to new funding models. So we're going to hear firsthand about these clean energy technologies, what resources are available that are driving success, and partnerships that are fueling that success as well. So this clean energy, I'd like to welcome everybody to Clean Energy Week, which is organized by the Northeast Renewable Energy Coalition. So thank you to them for doing that. And again, we have to drive innovation to make sure that we're going to meet the needs of Connecticut's manufacturing sector. So let's dive into this panel and take a look and see what's happening right now in the manufacturing sector. So Nancy, I want to talk to you a little bit, you first. I want to talk to you about the Smart E program. So the Smart E program is a federal grant from the Department of Energy Office of Manufacturing and Energy Supply Chains that supports small to medium-sized manufacturers in achieving energy savings through increased efficiency. And so talk a little bit about the grant, talk about what kind of companies you're looking to work with, and how are you going to help them drive down consumption and improve energy efficiency?
As you said, I work on CT Smart, a federal grant intended to help small and medium-sized manufacturers reduce energy consumption. That's the angle we're taking to solve the energy problem. We're trying to help. It's a pilot program for smart manufacturing adoption. We are offering small and medium-sized manufacturers a variety of options to help them integrate smart manufacturing into their traditional manufacturing processes. We are offering energy assessments. We're offering smart manufacturing assessments. We are offering access to technology partners who are providing their services for free to help manufacturers learn about smart manufacturing, learn about how high-performance computing can be adopted into their systems, and also provide access to funding opportunities to help them bring those types of technologies on board.
So Nancy, one of the ways that we can manage energy consumption is to actually know what machines are consuming, right? What the energy consumption actually is. Tell me how high performance computing is going to help us in understanding, like, where is energy being consumed? Where are the gaps? How can we improve efficiency as it relates to energy consumption?
Well, the high performance computing will help digitize the manufacturing process. So I think Liang's team will better explain the details about how that works. But by digitizing the process, we are improving productivity and reducing lag time, reducing and technology drags as far as producing parts that have to keep going back for adjustments.
Yeah, I talked to a company this week that looks at maximizing productivity on the shop floor by putting sensors on every machine. And one of the side benefits is they get to cut energy usage. And I thought that's kind of fascinating. That's not what they set out to do as a company, but that's one of the side benefits. And I was like, it's kind of important for us here in Connecticut. So what kind of companies are you looking for, Nancy, for the Smarty program?
Well, ideally, we are looking for companies in clean energy, aerospace, defense, semiconductor sectors. But because those are the companies that will support and be part of the supply chain for our the major industries here in Connecticut. But we are also taking a look at almost anyone that's interested in reducing their energy consumption.
Well, that's about 4,800 manufacturers in the state, so,
Well, we are trying very hard to reach them and let them know about the program.
Great. So if you're a small, medium-sized manufacturer, you're struggling with energy costs and you're looking for ways to reduce consumption and improve efficiency, then they should be contacting Constep. Is that who they contact? They contact you directly? How do they?
Yep, Constep is hosting our website. They're here today. We have materials to help you sign up very quickly. The process is quick, it's free, and will unleash a bunch of opportunities that you can take advantage of.
Great, awesome. By the way, Connecticut was one of 7 states to get this grant, and we're pretty proud of the work that we're doing in the Office of Clean Economy around that. All right, Liang, let's talk a little bit. She kind of threw the ball over to you when we were talking there, so we'll do that. Currently, you run the Industrial Training and Assessment Center, which, is it still New England, or do you have half the country now? Because I know you keep expanding your role. And so talk a little bit about what ITAC is, and then talk about a little bit about how you're working with manufacturers and what you're finding when you do the energy assessments.
Absolutely. So the ITAC program, Industrial Training Assessment Center, is a program funded by the Department of Energy. It's a long-standing program, has about 45 years of history. And in 2021, UConn, in partnership with University of New Haven at that time, was awarded for this new round of ITAC. And it was the first time that ITAC was selected in the state of Connecticut. Before that, Connecticut and even the Southern New England area has been regarded as one of the main underserved area by the ITAC program. And we look at the database, there are only like 5 companies being served by the ITAC program in the past 10 years before we were selected. So when we're in the business, our goal is to serve mainly the state of Connecticut, because this is our home state, and we're partnering with Eversource and Avangrid, mainly in the state, but also we serve areas such as Long Island, New York. We have been expanding our service to Massachusetts, Rhode Island. We have 1 visit in Vermont, and we have 2 companies we serve at South Portland, Maine. But in terms of assessment, we do this assessment as a team of students, faculty, and staff. Is at no cost to the companies. And we also just serve small, medium-sized manufacturers as our main clients. We do have a set of criteria that the client must satisfy but most of the small, medium-sized manufacturers will fall into that range. And we do not really look at what their sectors they're coming from. We have certain companies that do metal processing, paper towels, water treatment, candies and food, dairy product, you name it, we have been through all of them. Our main goal is we take the low-hanging fruit approach. So we go in there, we look at from the utility bills all the way to your HVAC system, air compressors, process heating and cooling. We deploy a sensor to take data such that we can quantify exactly, well, if we do such and such energy conservation measures, how much can you expect to save from those measures? And what are the costs associated to this? And also we'll try our best to link our clients to the utility providers and also to any federal grants they can qualify for, offset the costs. Because we know for small manufacturers, one of the main hurdles is that they do not have the bandwidth in terms of workforce to handle such tasks. And also they usually are short on extra capital to invest in those projects. So we're trying our best to make sure we bring our service to them and we can hand over them to the best personnel to continue this and into implementation of these projects.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Telling somebody what their problems are is one thing, right? I mean, that's the easy part. Helping them solve them is, I think, the challenge that we have, and we look at how we can make that easy. And I'm glad to see that iTech is doing that. So what are some of the low-hanging fruit that you're finding? What are some things that are out there that any manufacturer right now should be considering doing?
You'll be surprised. Our usual first step to initiate contact with the manufacturers to get their utility bills for the past year, and a handful of them didn't even know that they don't have to pay sales tax for their utilities in Connecticut, and they should get some tax credit even also from the utility bills. And then considering that 6% of their energy cost, and they only have to fill out a form, save 6% from the energy, that's the number one thing that we can see. And also try to reduce late fees, just do on-time payments. And then from there, look at the easier technology they can immediately adopt, like LED lighting. It's easy to say, almost every home now uses LED lighting, but if you go into the factory floor, you will see many or quite a few of them are still using the old fluorescent lighting. And things like that. And more complicated ones will be air compressors. Are you set the pressure set point that are right for your process? Some of them using 120 PSIs for their air compressor, but they are only use them for handguns and blow process that only use like 60 or 70 PSIs. Are you shutting down equipment properly during the weekend at all production hours? Those are the easy things to do. But sometimes, for whatever reasons, they didn't discover things like this, or they didn't think this would cost them much. And our goal is to help them quantify the cost of these practices and bring the best practice to them.
Sounds like all those practices don't really cost a lot, but they save a lot.
There are many of the measures that we recommend cost little or not too much to the clients. There are some big ticket projects that we also recommend, and some of those can be offset by some federal grants or state funding study.
Yeah, so the iTech has access to federal funding from the Department of Energy, correct? Is that?
Yes, so a couple of years ago, as part of the bipartisan infrastructure law, the federal agency passed through this grant called the iTech Implementation Grant. So that is for any companies who have gone through an iTech energy assessment and want to implement one or multiple energy conservation measures identified in our assessments. For each of these measures, the company can get up to $300,000 or 50% of the project cost, and combined with potential savings or incentives from utility providers, the initial tax credits, some of these big ticket projects can become relatively small ticket projects and have relatively fast payback.
Yep, excellent, great. All right, so now we're going to segue to one of your customers. So somebody that went through this process and has implemented some of these things and has gotten some of that federal funding. So Tom McGuire industrial heating. You went through the ITAC assessment process. And so talk a little bit about the process, talk a little bit about their findings, and then talk about what you've done now that you've gone through all of this, and talk a little bit about also some of the federal funding you received. So.
Sure. So like Dr. Zhang said, we started here and we started with the initial ITAC assessment. And Dr. Zhang and his team came in. I think there were 6 or 7 students. They came in, they camped out for the day in our conference room, rolled up their sleeves, checked out our bills. But then they went out on the shop floor and did a lot of practical testing, looking at our compressors, our lighting, our thermostats, our HVAC equipment. And within a week or two, I think they came back with a full 40-page report on all the things that we could do to improve our energy efficiency, including things that I'd never even heard of or thought of. A palladium battery that takes power from the grid and off-peak hours and then stores it so you can use it during on-peak hours. They calculate the cost of all these things and then the potential ROI. So you can look at this and apply a business case to all the improvements that they come up with and say, I can invest this much, expect this kind of return, and go from there. So we got the report, and I think we applied to a lot of the low-hanging fruit that Dr. Zhang referenced. So the sales tax exemption on utility bills, we weren't taking advantage of. The lighting was the first thing that we tackled, and we implemented that right away. So we started the project in January. We had all of our new lighting, LED lights in there by February. And we saw our demand and usage go down by about 20% on the lighting alone. But that was just the cost benefit. I mean, if you haven't upgraded your fluorescent lights to LED lights in your factory, it's like, boom, wow, this is what this place looks like. And people can see a lot better. And when we bring customers back there, it's a lot different. They can go, oh, wow, this is great. So the next thing I think we're going to work on is our compressor. That was another piece of low-hanging fruit. When we first brought in the compressor system that we had, it was to go with a laser that was doing on-site nitrogen generation. That piece of equipment that was doing the nitrogen gen ended up failing. One of the membranes crapped out. So we didn't replace it, but we also didn't replace the compressor, which was the whole horsepower driving that whole system. As a small business, you don't always have the time to evaluate these things. But when they came in and saw it, that was just a big glaring obvious, oh, this compressor is way too high of a horsepower for what you need. Let's get a new one in here and dial it down a little bit. So we're going to do that, and we're expecting relatively big savings from the whole project. I'll also add that the reimbursement process was really easy. When the new administration came in and Elon was tasked with cutting some of the government funding, we got a letter right away that said, we're not sure if we can reimburse you guys right away because there was so much confusion. But once that we made it through that phase, we applied and got our reimbursement probably within 1 week. It was very quick. So to me, the process was relatively seamless. It was very painless. And the other thing that I'll add is there's a lot of energy savings programs out there. I know Eversource runs one that's kind of a rebate style. We found that through this program, we were able to, if you go through Eversource sometimes, they're going to specify that you have to use the higher end and more expensive lighting that's out there. And so the total cost of the project is very high. But when you can work with Dr. Zhang and his team, you'll find that there are actually cheaper options to come in that do the exact same thing. It's more affordable for the state, it's more affordable for the private company that's implementing it, and it's a win-win for everybody, including utility companies.
So what's your anticipated savings on your utility bills?
It's a good question because the electricity rates went up. So
It's a good thing you did this,
yeah,
right?
it's a good thing. It probably wasn't as big of an impact as we had initially forecast, but I can say we'd probably be spending a lot more if we hadn't done that.
Yeah, well, again, it's cost avoidance in that sense is savings, right? It is a savings. So, we talk about in manufacturing, when we have important issues like safety, we put a safety committee together and we're always focusing on safety. How has your team's attitude towards energy and energy consumption evolved by going through this process?
The obvious answer was with these LED lights, they also came with motion sensors. So when our employees leave the shop floor and they go into the lunchroom, the shop goes dark. And then they have to come back out and they're seeing that we're saving energy. So it's very obvious that we're saving energy, and that kind of infiltrates with the culture and everything. So as a small business owner, most people can probably identify with going around and checking the thermostats at the end of the day and making sure that someone's turning it down. Our team is really good at doing that now.
Good. And I'm sure now people are spending less time in the bathroom because if the lights go out while you're, they get to throw something. We've all done that.
Great point.
We've all done that. Yeah. So we've been joined by Nasir Mannon. He's the principal scientist at CCAT, principal engineer. I don't know, we'll just call you whatever you want to call you, because you're the best. So with the Connecticut Center for Advanced Technology. So I'm going to throw it over to you now, Nasir, to talk a little bit about what kinds of technologies and practices is CCAT working with companies as part of the Smart E grant, and how are you supporting companies as it relates to energy efficiency?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. So our focus at CCAT is to help manufacturers understand how they can use digital thread and digital twin technologies to help save energy. On the digital thread side, we're looking at it from obviously the manufacturer's perspective. And digital thread is all about using a specific format, model-based definition. What normally takes a company hours to days, sometimes even weeks to program a part. So let's say, as an example, I'm a manufacturing company and I receive the file from an OEM. Let's just say either Pratt or Sikorsky or one of the larger OEMs. And I'm tasked with having to give back a quote and also coming up with a manufacturing process to actually produce that part, to inspect the part, making sure that what I'm going to deliver is going to be in spec and what's required. That process, once I receive that definition, traditionally has been a 2D drawing, and I have to look at and interpret that 2D drawing. This is what we call kind of a human consumable data set, where I'm going to make decisions based off of what I'm seeing on that drawing. This is the material the part has to be made out of. These are the kinds of features that are on the part. These are the tolerance requirements for these specific features. And so I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to put it on this machine. I'm going to use this tooling. I'm going to use this fixturing. I'm going to use these strategies. Strategies being what exact process am I going to use on my machine to produce that specific feature so that I know it's going to come out in tolerance, right? So that process, once I receive the file, can take, like I said, hours to sometimes weeks, depending on the complexity of the part. And what we want to show manufacturing companies is, instead of doing that process manually, you can actually teach your manufacturing software that logic structure, if this, then that type logic, so long as they receive a digital format from their OEM, right? So, or from their customer. So if I was to receive a digital file, CAD model with all of the manufacturing requirements built into that CAD file, now I simply can import that data set into my manufacturing software. And as long as I have built in the strategies, right? In some software, it's called a machining knowledge database. If it's this material, if it's this feature, if it's this tolerance, I can set up conditional statements so that the software now can read in this digital format. It's now a computer consumable data set, and it can generate that program for me. My job now becomes just validating that makes sense to produce on the machine. And we've shown that you can go, you save between 50 to 90% time savings. In fact, the use case study we did in February, it saved literally 90% of time. That's an order of magnitude, right? If it took them weeks, it'll take them days. If it took them days, it'll take them hours. So it's a significant time savings. But if you consider the amount of computing resources, engineering resources, the amount of energy that's consumed during the manual process, you're saving all of that by using this automation technique.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Again, another way that we use technology and we use innovation that'll help us with that as well. All right, JJ, you're up. So Connecticut is the fuel cell capital of the world. I don't know if many people know that, but We certainly do, and Hyaxium sits in the center of that as well. So talk a little bit about Hyaxium's technology, how that offers low carbon energy alternatives for large users, and where's the future of fuel cells and hydrogen in manufacturing?
Well, that's a great question. So Hyaxium is a pioneer of fuel cell technology. We started in the 1960s from UTC Power. Originally, fuel cells were used for space exploration program. The Apollo program and the Challenger space shuttle program all had our fuel cells providing astronauts with electricity and drinking water. In 2014, when Zhang Group bought the assets of UTC, it commercialized the stationary fuel cell technology so that we can now provide the stationary fuel cell to the broader public. We are the proprietary technology holders of a phosphoric acid fuel cell technology, which is a very robust fuel cell technology that provides electricity, reliable, clean electricity, no combustion, and hot water or heat as a byproduct. So it's a 460 kilowatt system combining heat and power that provides the clean, reliable energy and heat as a byproduct. So a lot of the customers, the way that a lot of the manufacturer customers that use our fuel cells, they not only use our fuel cells for the base load, so it provides the manufacturer companies with the peace of mind that even if the grid is absent, the fuel cell will be providing that clean, resilient energy. It allows the manufacturer companies to offset some of the boilers that they have because of the heat that's emitted from the fuel cell, which is 250 degrees. It can go up to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. And so this is a very, very good application for manufacturing companies like pulp and paper, automobiles, because they need the heat for pre-processing and preheating the assets before it goes through the painting process. And then bottling, of course, is a very big application that utilizes the 150 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. And so we have a lot of applications like Coca-Cola bottling. Bobcat uses our fuel cells. So it is a very commercially viable product, providing customers with the short-term incentives, but also in the long term, because manufacturer companies need to think about carbon neutrality, reducing carbon emissions, how hydrogen will play in meeting those carbon neutrality targets. They use fuel cells for that long-term goal as well, because fuel cells is innately a hydrogen fuel cell.
So are there what are the common misconceptions about industrial scale hydrogen or fuel cell deployment?
Probably the biggest misconception is that because it's a hydrogen fuel cell, it's not safe to be used. We can just let you know that there has been no instances where a fuel cell blew up. And so fuel cells are very safe. Our fuel cells have a 10-year design life, and we have over 560 megawatts of fuel cells deployed worldwide. This is a very, very safe solution. Second misconception is that hydrogen is not a readily available fuel. How do you use fuel cells? Now we understand that. So the Hyaxium fuel cells take in natural gas or LPG, LNG, any feedstock that's available. And there's a steam methane reformation process that happens at the front end that converts the natural gas into hydrogen, allowing the hydrogen to flow through the fuel cell and provide the power. So it is a safe and commercially applicable product.
Absolutely. And it should be large manufacturers, large consumers of energy that are concerned about reliability and grid stability as well should be looking at this as a solution, because it's going to help them on their property, help them get a little bit more stability in their energy supply as well. So, okay, let's open it up a little bit. We'll open it up to everybody and talk a little bit about partnerships in the ecosystem. We talk a lot about collaboration and how we should have manufacturing and government and universities and private industry working together to solve problems. Talk a little bit about some of the things that you've seen in collaboration, and then more importantly, what can we get better at? What can we do, and what can we be better at? So, JJ, you want to start with that? We'll have you go first.
Absolutely. Hyaxium, because we have the proprietary technology in fuel cells, and because we have the experience deploying a lot of fuel cells, we partner with not only the state entities, for example, CT Green Bank, which is a financing institution that's quasi-governmental. So we work with CT Greenback to provide fuel cells to a lot of the state entities, and we also work very closely with developers, so private sectors as well. And so there's a lot of active partnerships that happens both in the public and the private sector, so that we can deploy more fuel cells to the broader audience.
Nasir, you're a nonprofit. How do you collaborate with universities, manufacturing companies, government to make an impact in the energy space?
Sure. Yes, we're a private nonprofit in East Hartford, Connecticut. With universities, well, let me back up. We're an applied R&D center. The Advanced Technology Center is housed actually within the Raytheon Technology Research Center. And it actually comprises of two labs, the Advanced Design Automation Metrology Lab and the Additive Technologies Optimization and Machining. A lot of CNC machines, a lot of different kinds of metal additive, and a lot of digital technologies. We're focused, like I said, on showing companies how to automate production programming and controlling manufacturing variability by employing artificial intelligence and machine learning. That being said, applied R&D means that if a company comes to our lab and we demonstrate a specific technology, that it's essentially immediately ready for adoption. But we need to be looking far ahead into the future. What are the technologies coming up? What are the advancements to the current technologies? And this is where the university partnerships come in. We get a chance to see some of the fantastic research going on here at UConn. We get to collaborate with the university professors to actually test and see how the technology works in an actual manufacturing, or I should say in a simulated manufacturing environment at the Advanced Technology Center. And we can actually validate whether or not the technology is going to work for a manufacturing company because we can provide specific use cases. Sometimes manufacturing companies have a hard time sharing, right? We can do specific projects for companies, and we can show them the impact for their specific processes, and that's really what the lab is there for. But more often than not, it's hard to actually present that because it's typically proprietary, or we have to change it significantly enough where it's not the exact part for the company. So we can provide a use case. We have demo parts that we can, representative parts that that range from a number of different kinds of components that are manufactured here in Connecticut, and we can use that through our machines to show how technologies can be effective. What are the time savings? What are the cost savings? We want to get the numbers. The numbers translate to the ROI for the company so that they can see the benefit for themselves. Where we work with the state is to, the state does a great job about giving manufacturing companies money to adopt the technology. So we're reducing, that helps to reduce that CapEx. And it just helps with the ROI in the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Liang, universities, from a collaboration perspective, how are you collaborating with government and industry and some of these nonprofits to make a measurable energy impact?
Sure. So from the ITAC perspective, 4 or 5 years ago, when we are sort of still envisioning how we should construct and establish our ITAC, we sort of envisioned it to be one of the players in the long chain of network that composed of university, meaning UConn or University of Haven at that point, and then state of Connecticut, the utility providers, Evergreen, Eversource, and business associations who can help us expand our reach because we're universities, we're professors, students, and staff. We have limited capability, and we don't have all the trainings that is needed to do all these kind of things. And it takes a village to really make our impact into the end customer, the clients, the manufacturer, to help them really get the benefit eventually. So from us, we are really honored to be partnered with the city, especially. You have been a great partner advisor to our center from the beginning. Reach out to companies, give us leads, and a number of those eventually become our clients in the first couple of years. And it's continued into the Smart City Smart E program that we continue our partnership with DCT. And also with the utility providers, we had monthly meetings with Eversource, Evergreen, update with them with our progress or challenges. And especially once we finish off one of our projects, we'll have them involved such that we can hand over the project to their teams, and they can continue working with the customer to explore which are the measures the customers can eventually implement. And all of these becomes a necessary flow of our work such that we can bring what the program originally wants to achieve to what the customer can eventually see. They want to see the benefits. They want to see the energy bill drop down. They want to see they're saving this much dollar amount from the cost and so on. And just to JJ's point, resilience is one of the things we want to also bring to the attention to the clients. So newer technologies, solar PVs, combined heat and power, fuel cells, all those technology, we want to bring those to the customers as well. So they're aware these are the technologies that are out there. And if they want to further explore, we can introduce them to the companies, to the vendors, to the technology providers, and so that they can further explore all these opportunities.
Excellent. So if somebody wanted an assessment right now, what's the current backlog? How long is it going to take to get to it?
So our center have the capability to do about 20 per year. So if we receive a request today, most likely we can only do that probably in 2 months' time.
Okay, good.
60-day period.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think that, you think of 20 a year, we need to get more capacity, right? Because, this is certainly an opportunity as well. All right, Nancy, you represent government. Talk about the collaboration here with all your partners and how all that's working as it relates to the Smarty Energy Grant and the work that we're doing in the Office of Clean Economy.
We have great collaborative partners. We are working with Constep on recruitment and engagement. We're working with CCAT and UConn on the technical aspects of the program. It's so exciting and interesting to hear about these opportunities for pilot programs and free modeling and simulation, and figuring out how you can bring, or how a manufacturer can bring this kind of technology into their processes that you just really want to share it with everyone. One group that we haven't talked about yet through UConn is who's also partnering with us is the Manufacturing and Simulation Center. So they are really also similar to CCAT's offerings, providing this kind of technology free of charge to manufacturers. So it's just very interesting. We really want to have them help us push this out, and we are really pushing hard on our partners and appreciative that they are responding so well and providing these services. So again, I will say, we are trying to reach small manufacturers. If you're one, please reach out to us today or over the next week. But also we're trying to use a top-down approach. If you're a large manufacturer and you have a supply chain that you want to modernize and bring this digital transformation to, please let us know. We'd be happy to, use our partners to reach your supply chain.
Yeah, thanks. I've heard a couple of times from a couple of different panelists, they've used the word free of charge. And when we tell people things are free, they tend not to value them. So I like to use the term at no additional cost, because you are paying for all of this stuff through your tax dollars, right? These are your tax dollars at work. When you go to CCAT, or this is a federal grant that's matched by state grant, well, that money is all coming from your money. It's your tax dollars. It's your money. So I like to say, it's not free. It's at no additional cost. Leverage the investment that you've made as a manufacturer to improve your business, because it's available to you to be able to do that. You've already paid for it. You might as well use it. So let's take your perspective. We talked about collaboration. You're the customer, right? Did this work? Is everybody collaborating? Are they really helping you? And are there areas where you think we could be better in helping manufacturers adopt these kinds of programs and technologies?
I've always felt that Connecticut is one of the best, if not the best state to be a manufacturer in. I think as a state, they give so much back to us, especially the small manufacturers in the state. You look at our panelists up here, Concept, it goes beyond what we're talking about up here. There's lean and improvement programs, there's technology updates that they'll help you with at no additional cost. We have the ITech program here at UConn, which is a the collaboration with UConn and private companies can come here too and have access to the professors and try new technologies and have them come and see your processes and offer opportunities for improvement. CCAT, what a great job that they do bringing technology to the state. And there's so much grant money there that can bring technology to your business. The 50-50 match grants that are available through CCAT, I highly recommend looking into. Manufacturer CT, the regional sector partnerships. What other state has a chief manufacturing officer? None. Yeah, so there you go. What's the slogan? You can't spell manufacturer without CT.
That's true. You can't spell manufacturing without CT. That's
So I'm obviously I'm preaching, but a lot of people say the labor costs in Connecticut is high, and that some of the labor laws make it a little bit tougher. But the state does a lot to give that back to you, especially as a manufacturer. And there's so many opportunities out there. So if you're feeling like there isn't a lot of collaboration, I challenge you on that, and I would beg you to dive in and see if there's opportunities for you and your business.
Yeah, I think you just need to be aware of them, right? And we need to do a much better job of just engaging with the manufacturing sector, making them aware of everything, but also, letting them know that it's not hard to engage. It's easy. We talked about a little bit about how easy it was to do all of these projects and how we try to make it easy to do all of this. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the future, and let's talk a little bit about what you think is coming coming down the road that can significantly change consumption use for energy in the next decade. Liang, what do you think? What are you seeing?
So I just want to go back to the beginning of the panel when you mentioned that Connecticut has one of the highest energy price in the country. It's probably top 3 or 4, maybe 4 or 5. And we're still facing this type of issue for the coming years. But the good news is there are also newer technologies that are available to offset some of these. I mentioned some of the more mature technologies like solar PVs, even combined heat and power. Those are already there for companies in Connecticut to utilize immediately, especially if you have needs in terms of grid resiliency and stability. We have clients that mentioned to us that every time there's a glitch in the grid, they have to stop their production and redo the past 8 hours of work.
Right.
And a lot of costs incurred. And this could be 3-4 times a year. So ensure better resiliency of the power supply to those small, medium-sized manufacturers will be a key issue. And fuel cells and other technology could be out there. Battery system, for instance, could be can provide this capability to companies. And this could be a very important thing for companies in Connecticut because we're serving the defense industry. A lot of our suppliers are in this network. And if there's certain issues happening to the grid, the quality, the reliability of the production can be heavily impacted. And this can snowball into more disastrous, catastrophic results if that's not addressed properly. So from our perspective, I think cleaner energy is one of the areas, of course, we all want to go into, but also improving resiliency, security of the grid, of the power supply, and improve from that perspective, improve the manufacturing efficiency, effectiveness will be one of the directions. Of course, we still talk about smart manufacturing, getting more data into your practices, but also protect them better against any of the cyber infiltration or attack that could potentially happen.
Yeah, I hear as I go around and visit with manufacturers, I hear a lot about grid resiliency and the concern for making sure we have grid resiliency as well. And there is most people probably don't know, but there is a Kleenex Kimberly-Clark plant in Connecticut that has a combined heat power plant on there, which is what allows them to stay in Connecticut to be able to do that. And the pocket packs you get at Kleenex? Every one of those is made in Milford, Connecticut. So you get a little pocket pack of Kleenex. I bought some in Paris when I was there for the air show, and I'm like, made in Connecticut. But again, it's looking at innovative solutions to be able to continue to manufacture here as well. This year, what do you see coming in the future?
From a manufacturing floor perspective, I see AI machine learning having a huge impact. And I'll give you an example. Anytime you're manufacturing a part, there's always machines involved, tooling involved, people involved, and then you have stock material. every one of those components can vary over time. No matter how controlled you try and keep your process, something's gonna eventually change, whether it's the condition of your machine, whether it's the change of the stock material coming in, whether it's the tooling degrading as you're producing the parts, or whether it's, human error or just the differences in the way people behave from morning till night or between different people. And so that variability inevitably causes cost. It inevitably causes inefficiencies. And what we have been able to show is how incorporating AI machine learning can actually control manufacturing variability. In a case study that we did with a company that produced 100 parts, 35% of those parts were just slightly out of tolerance. And so you can imagine the amount of resources and energy that went into producing those 35 parts that eventually don't ship out is a huge cost, huge energy cost. And what we did was we actually employed an edge device that collected real-time data on the machine as the parts were being produced. This is our way of understanding what the signals look like when a good part is produced. And we understand what the signals look like when a bad part is produced. I won't go into what the signals are, just generically we get a lot, like 75 or X number of signals off the machine. And we're able to understand what's good and bad. And if we employ AI machine learning as a supervisory control, it can actually predict if a part's going to come out good or bad, and even further make corrective action control on the machine before the defect happens. What does that amount to? It amounts to having a control process, a supervisory control where AI machine learning is continuously monitoring your process and providing adaptive control so that you guarantee that part comes out good. All the energy you're putting into it, the tooling, the cost of the tooling, the energy that goes into the tooling, the actual energy the machine consumes producing the part, and all the other processes that come before and after are now more effective and more efficient because that part that's coming off the machine is in tolerance and you haven't wasted anything. So in my opinion, on the shop floor at the machine level, AI machine learning is going to have a significant impact. That we did out of that case study of 100 parts when we employed that technology and that the architecture, it produced 100 good parts, and we were able to show how that particular company was able to save 35% of that cost savings. But there's more savings that ended up in from the if you look at it from the energy perspective.
Yeah, so some companies are going to have to vary the line. Our parts are so nice, we make them twice.
Yeah.
Old manufacturing joke, sorry. JJ, what do you see coming down the pipe? What do you see coming for new technologies?
Yeah, I think my colleagues in this panel, Dr. Zhang and Nasser, stated it very well. But one thing that I would like to emphasize is, I think ESG is going to be a more heightened topic going forward because with the advent of AI and with the advent of more power consumption, a lot of the manufacturers, a lot of the energy consumers will want to buy energy that's relatively cheap, but has a lot of carbon emissions. We see a lot of the hyperscalers in the AI sector, purchase power through combined cycle power plants, coal-fired power plants, through nuclear power plants, and because the short-term incentive for them is the heightened revenue, this is the path that they're going through. However, they always have to think about how to balance the ESG because of the reputational risk and ESG being such a high strategic target in their vision. And this is, I think, where Hyaxium brings its value because not only are we providing customers with the resilient energy that's required very quickly, we can provide power within 12 months of contract signing, but also the power that we provide is very clean. We don't have any atmospheric pollutants. We can help the customers meet their ESG initiatives while at the same time provide the power that they need. So this balancing between heightened requirement for power and and ESG is, I think, a very important topic that we'll be seeing in the energy industry going forward.
Excellent. Nancy, any thoughts on what you see coming?
Yes.
I do that.
I don't have the technical background to sort of make a prediction, but I do know that innovation is going to bring it here, and I think that sort of my role here is to prep the system to accept that innovation. I know in the Office of the Clean Economy, we are, looking ahead towards innovation clusters and like just trying to create the opportunities for the system, the people working in the system to accept the innovation. CT Smart is a 2-year grant program. It's a pilot program. So we are really trying to learn through this 2-year program what are the best steps to look forward to for the next couple of years, because we would certainly like to hear back from everyone. We'd like to understand what's helpful, what isn't, and make sure that we help our partners and the people that work here be ready for those changes.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Office of the Clean Economy is working right now on their strategic plan, and one of the components of their plan is to really take a look at industry clusters, but more importantly, how to drive economic growth and innovation within those clusters. So what are we doing in hydrogen, geothermal, solar, all of the different areas that we are taking, nuclear, wind, all the areas that, it's a whole of state, whole of kind of nation approach to getting to a more cleaner energy, but also sources, just reliability and sources of energy. And so we'll be taking a look at economic growth and development in those areas, and the plan that'll be out in the next, we'll call it a couple months or so. It's sorry, Andrew, we're getting there. Tom, what about you? Do you see anything from your perch as to where energy innovation is going and how manufacturers can capitalize on that?
Well, I think all the panelists make great points, and if I were to maybe simplify it for the smaller businesses out there, because sometimes you don't know where to start. There's so much, and can I afford all these things? And I don't even know what half of it is. But AI is kind of the obvious answer. And a lot of us are saying, how do I incorporate AI? How do I do AI? How do I implement AI into my business? And a lot of us still don't know where to start. ChatGPT is probably the most fascinating iteration of it, and the LLM that you can utilize. But if you haven't started using a ChatGPT or another AI tool, I encourage you to just start practicing with it, converse with it, ask it questions, ask it how to interact with it. You can ask ChatGPT, how can I prompt you? How can I write this question better? How can you help me? And you can mold it to help you and do what you need it to do. And I just encourage people to start practicing, download it on your phone, get it onto your PC, and you can ask it questions. It will inspire you. It doesn't need to give you the answer, and you might not get to exactly what you're looking for, but I've asked it questions like, how do you make a microband heater? That's my product. We've been doing it for 104 years, but I asked ChatGPT, and it gave me some answers that I wasn't expecting or didn't even know about. And so now I'm thinking of, oh, that's interesting. How could I do it that way? Is it more cost efficient that way? So that's my answer.
Interesting. That's great. That's great. All right. So as we like to say in Connecticut, we're going to land this plane. I want to wrap it up with in one sentence, right? Each one of you. What's your message to Connecticut manufacturers who are just thinking about their energy future and things like that? So, Nasir, we'll start with you. What do you want to tell manufacturers?
How should I put this in one sentence? We want to be globally competitive in manufacturing, right? We want the costs of producing parts to be lower than any other nation in the world. By reducing unnecessary expenses, we can get there. By employing smart manufacturing technologies, we can get there. We've proven it through demonstration projects with company-specific parts and processes, and on other generic demonstration parts. We know we can get there. It's a matter of adoption. And the state of Connecticut offers money to help you adopt. We have an advanced technology center, so you don't have to disrupt your manufacturing. Come and see how the technology has an impact for you. Universities are creating amazing technologies right here in Connecticut. We did an amazing project because we were able to employ an algorithm produced by UConn to show the how we can provide that supervisory control that I gave the example of. So I guess my takeaway, what I'm trying to say is adoption is key. We can sit here and talk about it all day long. If we don't adopt the technologies that we're proving work, it amounts to nothing.
Excellent. Excellent. JJ?
Yeah, I would state that resiliency, rapid time to power, and carbon neutrality are all a possibility. It's all possible, and it's possible through high axiom and fuel cells. So that would be my one sentence.
Excellent. Nancy?
I would say, I would address the manufacturers in the room and say, we're here to help you. We want to create a supply chain in the state of Connecticut and a manufacturing center that is vibrant and creates benefits for everyone. So we're here, reach out.
Tom, what's your message to your peers out there?
Buy domestic, and by domestic, I mean in Connecticut if you can. The tariffs have helped both of my businesses tremendously. As a smaller manufacturer, our supply chain is not international, and our customers are. So they're looking at us now, and we're giving us a lot more opportunities to quote, and we're winning more work. And the timing couldn't be better for us at the moment. Maybe that's not the main reason why everyone should buy domestic, but to foster and build a local supply chain within our state. All the resources are here. Just got to look for them.
Excellent. All right, Liang, what's your message to manufacturers?
I think two things. First, every small step counts. We want to make a long stride, but every small step counts. Even just reducing $100 off your monthly bill or even yearly bill counts towards your cost-saving practices. Second is, it's a long journey, so find your help. It could be your business association you belong to, it could be the state government, your utility providers, your advisors. Even as Tom mentioned, ChatGPT can provide you all of the advice and suggestions. So find your help along the way, and as UConn ITAC, we're happy to help everyone who has needs or requests in these areas.
Excellent, excellent. So thank you to all the panelists. Again, we appreciate your insight onto all of this. I want to close with this. I got a phone call from the Commissioner of Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, Katie Dykes, and the phone call went something like this. Paul, you're doing a great job. We really appreciate everything you're doing. Manufacturing is growing, but consumption is growing in the state of Connecticut. And she goes, I've got an idea. She goes, because there's two ways we can solve this problem. I can buy more expensive energy to meet the needs, or we can put investment capital into the marketplace to reduce consumption. And I went B. I like plan B. I like that much better. And so right now, DEEP is working on an RFP for companies that want to reduce consumption to be able to tell us what your project is going to be and have the state of Connecticut put capital in the marketplace to reduce consumption rather than buying more expensive energy. And I think that speaks to just a much different way to approach a problem, right? It's a much different way to approach a problem. It's a more innovative way to approach a problem. And it's a much more collaborative way to do that as well. So when that RFP comes out, we'll be reaching out to large consumers of energy and saying, hey, listen, there's an opportunity here to partner with us to reduce consumption. And that speaks to the whole idea of collaboration. Everything you heard from one of the panelists here was how the state of Connecticut is working together to solve the challenges that we currently have right now with energy. As consumption increases, as we adopt more technologies, how do we reduce consumption, get more effective on the shop floor, and get more efficient on the shop floor? And I like to say that we're really just beginning. Right? We're really just beginning, and the work is ahead of us, but we're doing this journey together. We'll work on it together. I said this yesterday. Monday. Today's Wednesday, right? I said this Monday. I'll say it again today. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. And Connecticut is resilient. Connecticut is flexible. Connecticut is adaptable, and we will continue to be a leader in the clean energy space today, tomorrow, and for years to come. Thank you, everybody.